Senator Bernie Sanders is proposing to break up the biggest banks in the country. Now, these financial institutions would include J.P. Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs, and Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway. Now, why would he do this? Well, he apparently believes, rightly so, that they are too big to exist. Now, it turns out Senator Sanders will introduce a bill, or actually did introduce a bill on Wednesday, that will require the breakup of any financial company that has a total exposure of greater than 3% of GDP. Now, based on that threshold, which is a total of $584 billion, 6 banks and 4 non-banks would end up having to split up, break up the banks. Now, those are, as I said before, J.P. Morgan, Bank of America, Citigroup, Wells Fargo, Goldman, and Morgan Stanley. The non-banks are Berkshire, as well as the Prudential Financial, MetLife, and American International Group. In a statement, he said, quote, "No financial institution should be so large that its failure would cause catastrophic risk to millions of Americans or to our nation's economic well-being. We must end, once and for all, this scheme that is nothing more than a free insurance policy for Wall Street, the policy of too big to fail." That is awesome. Now, he's absolutely right. A lot of these banks are too big to fail, all the ones that he mentioned. Look, they got bailed out last time. Why should we be on the hook to bail them out again? There is an eventual economic collapse coming. What have we learned since the last time that it happened? Well, the politicians on Wall Street learned nothing other than we can do whatever the hell that we want because we know we're too big to fail. The government's going to bail us out. And while we run our companies into the ground, we are going to be able to jump out the window with a golden parachute. We're going to make billions of dollars. And then the damage, the cost to bail it out is going to be on you. It's going to be the taxpayers. We have learned absolutely nothing other than how we can cheat the system. That's what this is about. All right, there's more. Now, the bill is also co-sponsored in the House by California Democrat Representative Brad Sherman. Well, hats off to you, Brad Sherman. I've never heard of you before, but great. Awesome. It's a great bill to sign into. He said, "By breaking up these institutions long before we face a crisis, we ensure a healthy financial system where medium-sized institutions can compete in a free market." Now, he also said, quote, "Had the too big to fail, too big to exist bill been law back then, it would have forced Lehman, with assets that were more than 4.4% of GDP, and Bear Stearns, with assets at 2.8% of GDP, to restructure. And therefore, we could have actually avoided the 2008 economic crisis, which I have to remind you, a lot of Americans haven't actually recovered from. African Americans and minorities were hit the hardest and still haven't recovered, but there's still a lot of people. Now, the Wall Street has recovered. These corporations, these banks have recovered because we bailed them out. But normal, everyday American people have not. Wages haven't recovered. Wages are stagnant. Consumer wealth, that is not recovered. But housing prices have entered another bubble. Student loans have entered another bubble. They have absolutely learned nothing other than we can rob the system. We can rob the taxpayer, and we're going to keep doing that until there's another crash, and then we're just going to get bailed out again. Well, Senator Sanders and his piece of legislation say absolutely not. Now, of course, this isn't going to pass. Look who we have in Congress. Look who's the president. You think they give a shit? Absolutely not. However, this is something that Democrats, that progressives can rally around when it comes to the midterms or even going into 2020. We have to have a president that is willing to sign this piece of legislation and a Congress that is willing to advance it through. The time of too big to fail should have been over a long time ago. But since it's still around, it should not be suffered to exist longer than it has to. And if there's the abilities of us to retake Congress and to take the presidency, we can actually get this piece of legislation into law, hopefully before the next collapse happens and not after. So credit to Bernie Sanders, credit to Brad Sherman for supporting this piece of legislation. I think it's a fantastic idea. I think we should have done it a long, long time ago, but at least now it's here. And now I'd hate to be the person, the Republican or corporate Democrat that says no to this piece of legislation, because believe me, if you do, we're coming for you in 2018 and 2020. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.